Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 649 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles. The band is fully back together. Oliver Stone is here. He is back from his day-long trek to the Austin Bergstrom International Airport. Stephen Kyle is here. Ben Funky Askren. And it's a great Wednesday. Stanford Wrestling is back. They didn't news dump us for once. They didn't do this on Thursday at 10 o'clock Central. We actually get to talk about it. And it's like the best news in wrestling in I don't even know how long. A very, 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 very long time.
Very.
Ben, reactions to the news.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, obviously it's great, but it makes you think like what happened. And I read a couple articles, and I didn't really love the explanations. It didn't feel like there was much there, and so it leaves me wondering more. Obviously, which I'm sure we'll never know the answer to.
Yeah, I think if you look at what Stanford has been saying and what's going on, it sounds like. I mean, they've changed their rhetoric throughout this, right? It started financially. It's after exhausting all viable alternatives, it's painfully clear we would not be able to remain financially stable to support 36 varsity sports. So, and then there was like, sustained excellence or whatever, which Stanford Wrestling certainly had. They like foot the bill, and then they said no amount of money would cover it. Then they said $200 million would cover it, and then they got caught. That was a lie, and $200 million was based on nothing. And then, so they just kept moving the goalposts. But man, really, Stanford Wrestling led the effort to restore all the sports. And
Yeah.
dude, Shane Griffith is just a legend for this. I mean, it like literally, there's so many reasons he's like just immortalized for what he did. One, the fact that he won NCAAs, given the insane restrictions around his season, is almost incomprehensible. They're practicing outside and inconsistently at different places. They only got a small amount of they had like a 14-day road trip where they did their entire season. Okay, he actually lost at Pac-12s, which made me think like, dude, all this.
You were out on him.
I was out. I was all the way out. I'm like, listen. These guys, it's not his fault, but he's not able to train. Like, training is a super important thing, and he's clearly not wrestling like, then boom, he balls out at NCAAs. He beats Marinelli, the 1 seed, and really was just ridiculously good. And the fact that not only, just take out the fact that he won, and he won that way. And then with everything on his shoulders for this movement, and that ESPN is like on there, you're hearing the chants for Save Stanford Wrestling, and they're talking about all the ESPN's kind of putting Stanford on blast throughout that kind of coordinated effort.
It really did. That was kind of really surprising, wasn't it?
It was surprising but yet refreshing. Like you wonder, like you feel like Stanford would have some like pull within ESPN with their alumni network and be like, hey, we need you to just let this go and keep it moving. But man, freaking. They ran with all their talking points. They interviewed Shane. They showed him with the shirt on after when Pitt was doing the review. I mean, it was. It's hard.
They posted on their social channels afterwards, like Shane's interview, where he's like talking about saving the program.
Yeah. So that was. I mean, that cannot be understated as a huge part in the constant pressure. And we're really excited that Ray Blake's going to come on at 9 Central, 10 Eastern to discuss about this huge win.
We also have to thank Big Stool Barcat.
Big Stool Barcat.
Big Stool Barcat, Ben.
He would always tweet out the hashtag.
He saved it all by himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but there was a lot of big guys. I mean, Dan Cormier was tweeting a lot about it, right? There were quite a few people. Man, it feels like a great win, but it also feels like what the hell just happened? Like it wasn't like there was this problem that was in the way, and then this problem was now resolved, and now we understand why it was fixed. Again, I'm kind of left with like, well, what happened? Was it just so much negative sentiment that they felt like there was no other choice but to bring him back?
Yeah, they thought it'd go quietly, and then they'd just be able to do it. They didn't. I think they underestimated what Stanford Wrestling, and let's be clear and let's be honest, and this isn't a bias. Stanford Wrestling and the Save Stanford Wrestling movement elevated all of these other sports. There was no other sport that had this kind of organization. So they did not expect a team to have this kind of power, momentum, and consistent pressure that Stanford Wrestling put on the university. I think, one, they thought it'd just be able to go quietly, but two, it turned into what we've seen when these programs say they're dropping and then they come back. It's a shakedown, right? That's all it was. That's what happened with Cleveland State. It was just straight up a shakedown. And I mean, I don't think that's right. I think it's actually reprehensible that's how they choose to do that. And it's such an embarrassing look for Stanford, who is like, I mean, it's not just prestigious in that it's not just academically prestigious. It just has this pristine brand. It's athletically, it's academically, it's all excellent. It's in this like, little beautiful part of California. And then they just look so bad, so publicly bad that an institution with that kind of prestige, I think they were so filled with shame, especially when Shane won and all that moment. I think that had to have a big thing, and I think that got the attention of maybe some other alumni and influential people around the program. I have to assume that there was just the pressure, and they're like, all right, we'll bring it back. So it's fantastic.
So did it say in those releases? I didn't see that they were going to take all the money that Stanford Wrestling raised, or are they going to fund everything now? Or, I mean, it didn't really lay that out either. Maybe Ray Blake will be able to clear that up for us.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to. I'm sure that money that they raised is going to be utilized and taken. So I don't know the exact extent there, and Coach Blake can probably clarify. But it really raises additional interesting questions, right? Because now there's like, okay, the program's back, and I feel like it's back for good, and it's going to be safe. So now, okay, what's the next steps? Because their head coach is now the head coach at American. They have all these guys in the portal. You've got, Coach Blake, Coach Tirapelli, and Coach McCoy are still there. What happens with all those guys? What happens with Shane Griffith and Real Woods and Jaden Abbas? That's what I'm curious to learn about. Because, they're still...
They still got kind of a good team. I mean, there's been...
Heck yeah.
Shane's committed other places, but there's a whole bunch of them who have not committed anywhere. Jaden Abbas.
He hasn't committed.
Oh, he hasn't?
No. Why? Did you think? Where did you think he was going?
I don't know. I thought we were talking about Michigan.
No, I think I was a school on the short list, but definitely did not commit there.
Oh, are you sure? Because I think you told me that last week, Christian.
No, sir.
Are we talking about Jaden Abbas? We literally said yesterday we thought he was going to go.
No. I said Shane Griffith.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever said.
He's not committed.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you guys made me feel that way last week. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, they could have a really good squad next year then if all of these people decide to stick around.
Well, what really sucks too is they have no recruiting class.
Yeah, they haven't recruited because why would you recruit?
Yeah, and what recruit would go there, I guess, too, right?
Yeah. So there, I mean, I dare say, I mean, for this incoming class, they're not. No one's going to come in. I can't imagine,
unless you maybe you go into the portal.
Portal power.
You go into the portal, get some of these kids that are looking for a place. But yeah,
I know that definitely happened with one of our guys, Aiden Vandenbush. He was we wrestled with Max's, at Max's location. He was 2-time state champ and really high ACT GPA, and was going to Stanford, and then was kind of like waiting, and now he just committed to Northwestern like last week or something. And then we had another kid who was at Stanford. He was redshirting this year. Well, he wasn't a starter. He would have been redshirting his first year, and I kept asking Max, like, where's he going to go? And it's like, he really wants a Stanford education. There's a decent chance that he's going to stay there. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely people like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an obvious pull for that. And I don't think it would be tough for them to turn on the recruiting and have a 1-year stopgap and figure it out. But it's definitely a thing. But what is interesting for me is the dynamic of now wrestling for this school, where there was so much animosity. I mean, they wore
black singlets at NCAAs.
They wore black singlets all season. The the coaches were outspoken. They were not playing ball with the Stanford rhetoric.
They didn't wear anything with the Stanford S on it or anything
at any point in time. So to now be like reverse, be like, yay! Now I'm on this team, but the administration is deplorable to me, and how do you kind of reconcile those emotions? But you fought at the other. Bracky and I were talking about this before. Bracky made the good point. It's like, but they won. They defeated the administration. That's why they get to wear the Stanford singlet, and they didn't get what they wanted. So maybe that's how you kind of reconcile it. But I'm sure for, if I'm a recruiter, if I'm a guy there now, it's like, man, this program, look what they just made me do last year. Like, do I want to stay there? I hope that they do. Candidly, I think it would be awesome if they got to go and do a regular season and all that stuff. But if any kid ended up leaving, you can't blame them.
Correct. Yeah, but I don't think it's. I don't know how their system works, but I got to assume it's probably a couple very powerful people at the top who are pulling the strings and making these decisions. Mm-hmm. So, it's, if anything, it would probably be a feeling of hatred or spite towards them. Unfortunately, they didn't get canned for their actions, which would have been nice. But it wasn't, it wasn't like the whole school voted and made this decision to get rid of these sports, right? It was a couple people at the top.
Well, and I would not say it's necessarily true. I mean, there still could be fallout from this administratively for Stanford. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bernard Muir getting canned.
That'd be nice.
Like he totally.
I don't know how you keep your job after this.
I mean, how
bad this has been managed.
How worse could you mishandle a situation? And there's other issues outside of this with Stanford athletics and their admissions things, right?
Yeah.
There's that whole documentary on Netflix. Isn't it about this guy?
Not about him, but he is implicated in it. It's, if you haven't watched it, it's really good. It's called Varsity Blues, college admission scandal on Netflix. It goes all into how this guy in California was working what he called side doors to get kids into schools. And what he said, the front door is you just get into the school through the old-fashioned way. You have good scores, your resume looks great, whatever, you get in. Back door is your family donates millions and millions and millions of dollars to get you into school. Side door is he works with somebody that he has a connection with at the school. You still pay a pretty penny, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but essentially they make it seem like you are on a sports team and going to be a walk-on on that sports team, and you fake, like there are people faking photos of them playing water polo and things like that. To get them into USC and Stanford, and Georgetown was involved. Their soccer coach was involved in all of this. It's pretty wild stuff. But yeah, Stanford was one of the main schools involved, and actually their old sailing coach was featured prominently in the documentary. And the AD is mentioned. He says in the documentary, or he's come out and said, I've never heard of this guy who was doing this stuff. I had no connection to him ever. And in the documentary, the Stanford old sailing coach says, no, he told me he knew who he was.
Yeah. Get him out of here. Eat it, nerd. So, I'm curious what who's going to be the next head coach at Stanford. Is it going to be Ray? Is it going to be someone at the program? Is it going to be, are they going to go outside hire? Would the current Stanford staff want to stay at Stanford? These are all questions.
Seriously, I mean, you want to talk about how the athletes feel about the program, but think about how the coach has probably been the one more directly battling the administration for sure. I mean, like really head on, and the disdain they probably feel for their superiors. That's got to be real. I mean, that's gonna be so strong.
Yeah, absolutely. That would make it tough. So I'm curious. The whole fallout has real implications for wrestling next year, where these guys go. I mean, and it's also the other huge thing is the Pac-12 was going to have some interesting options because they weren't going to have the minimum number of teams, and now they're going to be back. They should be okay, so they won't have to like combine and go into the to like Big 12 or some sort of amalgamation there.
Yeah, I mean it's good that the biggest brand remaining in Pac-12 wrestling is going to continue to compete. But yeah, still, the Pac-12 clearly doesn't care that much about wrestling.
No, that seems pretty clear. Okay, where to next, gang? What else
I
about
like the big board you put up there?
Yeah, what do we think? I want to look at the class.
Feels like there's not really any committed, but I mean, I don't know.
More of these guys are. That's the thing. I don't want to show this because some of these guys are actually committed. Like Nick Feldman's going to Ohio State, and Caleb Henson's going to Virginia Tech. So I
think it's just those two in this screenshot.
Okay, good.
Okay. Well, because it's only right now you only have 3 of the top 10 being committed, but obviously that would add 2, so we'd be up to half.
And Jordan Williams has decommitted from Oklahoma State.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Why?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I don't know. I can tell you. He took some time off from wrestling too.
Yeah,
he's since come back, but
yeah, it was kind of a weird thing. So I'm not sure what's happening with Jordan Williams, but yeah, he said he's not going to Oklahoma State. So he's an interesting pickup. I'm curious how the big board will change after, because this hasn't been updated in a little bit. So it could look a little different after this.
He said, I'll be decommitting from the University of Oklahoma State. I will be taking this time to focus on my mental health, and God, I haven't been the best, and I've had a lot going on. This led me to this decision. Yeah, he said he'd be forfeiting his high school season, but then pretty sure he competed. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, me either. But he's a good get. So the class of 22 big board, number 1 Nick Bouzakis, number 2 Jesse Mendez, 3 Crookham, 4 Jordan Williams. All those guys are around the same weight.
Yeah. Why? So why? When was the last time this was updated?
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I don't know.
In a minute. Yeah, it was obviously hard because we missed so many things last year. So it'd be fun to see this be updated. I got to assume those top 4, they haven't really taken any bad losses. I think those top 4 will be still really highly up there, right?
Jordan Williams, he lost to. I mean, there's no shame in losing to Cody Chittum, and he lost it. Who's number 1? I thought he had a loss to someone in Oklahoma, but I can't recall. But I think, but Bouzakis and Mendez have certainly preserved, and Crookham we haven't seen as much of, but he's been good. Feldman, I think, is going to be really good at Ohio State as I guess, a heavyweight. He gets up to 230, 240. It'll be interesting.
Shoe made it because they got Shoe made it 197 also.
Yeah. Ryland Rogers is another one. I'm curious what all teams are going to be in on the Ryland Rogers sweepstakes. I know for a fact Ohio State's on him hard.
I believe he's put out a top group.
Okay.
Dang, Ohio State got another guy in this class? They're going after everybody.
No. They're going after him.
They didn't get him yet.
They didn't get him.
Yeah.
Seth Shoemate's coming. I'm curious, to watch him because I feel like he's got all the talent. I read that.
Top 6 schools for Ryland Rogers: NC State, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon State, Oklahoma.
No Oklahoma State.
No.
Which is notable, I think, because he is Chandler's
cousin.
Jordan's cousin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good solid list. Would be a huge recruit for Oregon State if they got him.
Yes.
As keeping those guys in the Pacific Northwest has not been easy. There is a lot of talent in Washington and Oregon. It's not a high number, but there's some solid kids, and they've gotten away from Oregon State in some instances. So he would be a good guy to keep on that side of the country. But man, that stiff competition to go up against Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, NC State. That's a lot of good. It's a lot of good places that he'll be looking up against. Now, Caleb Henson is going to Virginia Tech.
What about Singleton? 'Cause I thought they were high school teammates. You guys don't have the same school listed, but aren't they high school teammates?
They're not. You messed that up last time.
Who am I thinking of then? Are they club teammates then or something?
Well, it's Woodland and then Woodward Academy. I think you were just.
I swear I've seen pictures of them together. Are they buddies or club teammates or something?
It might be. I'm sure they're buddies if they're both from Georgia.
Yeah.
Who in this? Are there any guys you see on the big board that you're excited about, Ben?
I mean, yeah, of course, the top guys, everyone thinks they're really good. Singleton's been really good lately. He had a great UWW juniors. Manny Rojas has been really solid lately. I wish I could scroll down past number 20. I should probably just go to your website and scroll down past number 24.
Yeah, you can click the link above.
Oh shit, yeah.
It's got the whole thing. The whole gang.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me scroll down for a minute here. Gibson obviously is going to be good, I think. Oh, I'm on the wrong class. No, I am.
You're right.
Yeah. Who else on here? Because Clayton Whiting, baby, he had a decent UWW juniors. That's one of my guys that I coach.
Okay.
I shouldn't be biased.
Mitch Messenbrink.
Mitchell Messenbrink. Yeah.
I didn't know he was a big boarder.
Yeah, they both had they were both around a 12 or around a 16, somewhere in there at UWW juniors.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Is this one of your better classes for kids?
I'd have to look through. I think we had three big boarders in this class. I think our freshman and sophomore classes are really good comparatively. Oh, one that's going to jump up immensely now as I scroll all the way through the list. Hunter Garvin at number 99. He's going to move up. Crazy.
Yeah, he was the one. When I was looking up Jerome Williams, he beat Jerome Williams in folk style national finals.
Oh,
too.
yes, he's good.
He also beat
He
Martin.
beat like three good people. Yeah, Alec Martin. Yep.
Yeah, he's going to have a big jump.
The other kid, Ryan Boersma, he just beat one of my guys at Northern Plains. He is gigantic. I mean, like he's a heavyweight, but he is like, I don't know, he's got to be 6'6" or something. He's a beast.
Oh my gosh! Is he?
Yes.
I guess does he play football?
I mean, if he doesn't play football, I don't know what the hell he's doing. Yeah, he's got to. He has to. And then the other kid I just saw on this list that I saw this weekend, who I was really impressed with, and I don't know how you guys feel about him. And I think his coach might be Mark DeSalvo. That just I'm pretty sure that's who I saw. Jake Niffenegger. You know who that is?
Yes.
Yeah, he's really good. I'm pretty sure he won Northern Plains and he beat a couple of really good guys.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is Bray's next big project. He was saying the other day.
Got it.
Sweet.
Yeah, November 19th of last year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this the shuffling that happens for this. We still have the Ferraris listed as Allen, Texas.
Nice.
That was
this is Rowley kid will probably move up. He will
for sure.
He made the team.
He made the team.
He made the team. He's good.
Nice. Okie doke. Oh yeah, I like Rowley. Remember him. All right. Why don't we? Or should we do questions now and then spin
It's weird because
in with Bray?
Right.
Why don't we check in with Ollie? He hasn't said 4 words this whole time.
I've chimed in here and there.
I know, but you know we got to set you up. We got to get you more involved.
I mean, you let me work my offense when it gets worked in. You know what I mean? You can't force it all the time. I got a specific type of game, and you can't force it.
I understand.
Will shut it
You're
down.
like John Paxson.
And also, you guys those were big, you guys subjects. Like the Stanford coming back. You guys were leading the charge, passionate about that. I'm not going to chime in and make jokes about that. You know what I mean? It's a good thing. Good thing.
All right.
So is there a serious side of you, Ollie? Because yes, you're obviously a jokester, but do you got a deep serious side somewhere here?
Yeah. It's just not what I'm paid to do here.
Oh God. I mean, 'cause I was figuring you had to because you took 7 days driving from New York with your mom. So I mean, you can't just crack jokes on your mom the whole time, right? You got to have some solid deep.
I don't know. She's pretty funny, but yeah.
Is she?
We talk. Yeah, she is. She definitely is. But we talk about some real stuff too. Yeah.
Can you explain? Just explain your travel habits. How it takes you so long to get from Texas to or from New York to Texas.
Well, it took us 3 days. My mom does not like to drive extended periods of times.
There we go.
I would have got it done straight shot. usual, but she had about around an 8-hour kind of cap is where she was comfortable driving. So I'm not gonna oblige. Like, this is my mother here. I'm not, what am I, Tony Soprano, gonna put her up in a home in Green Grove or something? No, I take care of her. So that's gotta take care of mom.
It's a retirement community. That was a nice place. She just was.
It was she could have been happy there if she wanted to.
Yeah, she's just a miserable person.
One of the most expensive, and we're not talking about my mother here. We're talking about Tony Soprano's mom. That was a quick thing.
She was the worst.
Yeah, my mom's great. My mom's awesome. But yeah, we did have a great time. We made some stops. My mom wanted to see Nashville, so we went and spent an hour or two in Nashville. Walked over to Pedestrian Bridge. Very nice there.
Did you boot, scoot, and boogie?
We saw some honky tonks. Is that what you do there? You boot, scoot, and boogie?
Yeah.
That is what you do there.
I didn't personally. We didn't do any boot, scoot, or boogieing. But we saw them, checked it out. Pretty cool little area, neighborhood, city, I guess it is. So, like Nashville. And then also did a quick little stop in Dallas. Saw Dealey Plaza and RIP JFK.
I still have not gone there, and I would like
I'll be honest, it's a little weird because the city's, it's kind of the biggest attraction there, and it's a murder site.
Yeah.
So there's that little funny thing, and it's also just a side of the road. It's not like a big museum or type of cut off area. It's just this is a popular road, and then this is just where they set up some little placards and such. But it was cool, super interesting. Right on the street, they have the X that marks the spot of this is where he got shot.
Dang.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's kind of heavy. But
that is heavy.
And then we walked around a bit, saw the historic West Side, I think they call it. I'm not sure. But
historic.
Yeah, it was super historic. Felt like I was walking through the history. But
wow.
But it was a good time with Mima.
Okay, and then and you spent yesterday taking her to the airport.
Well, no, it was at an interesting time where it was she had a 10:45 flight, so I could have been on the show and left a little earlier, but I was let me just spend the morning with my mom.
That's smart. That's great.
Here's a little deep thing for you, Ben. One thing my mom taught me, a crucial thing in life, you have to take care of work, obviously, and work hard, but people over projects. My mom's a very important person to me, so, I mean, not that you guys aren't important people, but you get what I'm saying.
It's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I love you guys, but not more than my mom.
That's bullcrap, dude.
You love me more than your mom?
Me across the country.
I do.
No.
You guys won't even go to a baseball game with me on Friday.
Yeah, we will.
You guys refuse to go to a baseball game with me on Friday.
You want to know
baseball
what it is?
game?
I'm putting
Austin game.
Ben, listen to this.
What?
This dude is trying to get out of a team building activity.
I'm trying to build another team.
So that he decides today he wants to go to a Texas Rangers game in Arlington on Friday and just expects us to just up and go all the while. And he acts like we're not supporting him when it's all just to get him out of a team building activity.
That's kind of far away, Ollie. It's kind of far.
It's easy.
Day trip. It's a day trip.
It isn't.
You guys just criticized me from driving from New York taking too long, and now we're saying Arlington's a pretty far drive. I should have been here in 45 minutes, but now we can't go take a little road trip with the boys, go check out a game. I offered to buy them hot dogs, buy them tickets, and they're leaving me flapping in the wind.
No, we're not.
Ben hates baseball. He doesn't even care.
Ben doesn't like baseball.
I haven't been to a baseball game in a minute. I used to love baseball.
You know how it works?
I used to love baseball. I had all the baseball cards. I knew all the stats and stuff.
Who was your favorite player?
Well, I was a Brewers guy, so I watched Robin Yount get his 2000s hit. Paul Molitor was really good at the Brewers at that time. We struggled through a lot of years. We had a really good year in '92, so I would have been 8 years old. And then they didn't really have another good year for 06, 07. It was a while. They sucked for a very long time. Remember we had Prince Fielder. He was Cecil Fielder's
he was fun.
kid.
You had
real
Braun.
fat, hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah,
Braun was on the team forever. Yeah, but that was kind of Braun was I feel like when I kind of stopped watching, I feel like he might have started in the mid to late 2000s.
Braun's a cheater though, right?
Yeah, big cheater.
Big cheater.
They all are in baseball. Give me a break.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying they were all cheating.
I feel like the
Even Mark
cheaters should get in
McGwire.
the freaking Hall of Fame.
Even Mark McGuire? What do you mean even?
Like Mark McGwire,
He
Barry
was like
Bonds,
the
all
prime
those guys should be
suspect.
in the Hall of Fame.
I think we should allow it in baseball. I want
well, I wouldn't
juiced
go-
up yabos going everywhere.
It's like they
Yabo.
set it up so they. I mean, they wanted him to cheat. MLB wanted him to cheat. That's why they had no
They could've
rules about
They
it.
could have tested them a lot harder.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like kind of like pride.
they turned a.
Correct.
They turned a.
Pride, they wanted them to cheat.
Right.
In the contracts, I heard it used to say like we won't test.
Yeah.
It definitely said that, and then I've had friends tell me that they would come up and say like, hey, they probably would have said this to me. They would have bullied me. They said, hey, you're looking kind of soft. You need anything? You need anything? Like you're not looking all that jacked. You want something?
Yeah, they want the freak shows. They want the Bob Sapps.
Yes.
You remember that guy?
That was
Of course. I
Mirko
remember Bob
Krokop
Sapp.
fights kicked him in the liver.
I used to watch.
Right in the liver.
Actually, it's funny. Ray Blake's brother Ryan worked at Flow for a little bit, and we were buddies. And he put. I never heard of Bob Sapp, and we would spend like a half hour just watching Bob Sapp fighting videos because he's so hilarious. He's just this giant person who basically had no fighting skills whatsoever.
None.
And he was
He was a football player.
Yeah, it was so funny though. We were just crack up watching Bob.
But do you
Sapp.
remember that one time? I mean, if we're going to this conversation,
Yeah,
I guess
we're in there.
We don't talk about. He freaking powerbombed Minotauro. Do you remember this?
No.
Oh my God! Are you kidding? Can we pull up a YouTube video?
Why not?
Can I send it to Tyler?
Are we gonna
I'll
get
find it.
demonetized?
I mean, what on the $4 that this is gonna make on YouTube?
I'm
Yeah.
saying
So,
okay.
hold on. I'll send this link to Tyler right now. I'll put it in the doc. But yeah, he. Oh man, I got to timestamp it and whatnot. Yeah, he freaking Nogueira is obviously one of the best of all time. He freaking power bombs him. It was so ridiculous, and obviously he ends up getting submitted.
Well, I mean, the power bomb has been done before, especially in Pride. You see Rampage knock the hell out of somebody with a big power bomb.
Oh God, it's so awful. Okay, it's at like 30 seconds. Like he almost killed this guy. I'm gonna put it in the chat so we can all watch it together.
Nice.
All right,
Okay,
I
we'll
put it in the chat.
watch some Bob Sapp footage. This is great.
Oh, outstanding. And then Bob Sapp, I think he was in maybe the first 1FC event.
Oh my
maybe.
gosh. Look
Yeah.
at this guy.
He's so enormous. Okay, watch this. This
Oh
is so
my-
terrible. This is
oh
so
no.
terrible.
This is not good. Is this? Do you think this is like this was?
This is
rigged?
real.
Oh my gosh.
That's like a he tombstone like pile drives him.
Yes, watch this. Watch this.
You said power bomb.
Power bomb. He would land on his back. I know.
This is
That's a tombstone.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
awful. Look how his
That's so
neck
bad.
turns. Like, oh God.
yeah. That's like
he
the
literally
Undertaker.
almost paralyzed him.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Jesus! Right,
And then he
almost
wins?
got paralyzed.
He
Yes,
probably
he was.
lost. He's pretty terrible.
Oh, I'm
fighter.
sorry. Yeah, he
No.
lost.
Yeah,
didn't lose.
yeah. No, I meant like, and then Nogueira wins
Correct. Yeah.
after getting slammed like.
All right.
that.
Here's a question. Here's a question everyone wants to know. Could you have beaten Bob Sapp in a fight?
I got to assume. I probably got my ass kicked for a minute, and then I'm gonna find out his record. His record was really bad.
It was a salty
Um,
record.
His record is 11, 20, and 0. So he has 11 wins. And I think the 11 wins out of them, I would guess the majority of them are Japanese guys where like, there's that thing in Japan where they get a lot of respect for just taking an ass whooping.
Yeah.
So they throw like the smaller Japanese guy in against Bob Sapp and they got their ass whooped. And then it's like, there's a lot of pride and respect that goes along with that.
Okay. Since you bring that up, the guy you had your last one fight against is gonna do a grappling match against Gordon Ryan.
That's a terrible idea. He's actually been Shinya Aoki's been on fire. He's won like 4 or 5 in a row.
Well, he's
But
about to
I don't
be
know why he's-
extinguished.
Yeah. Well, that's not a fight, but yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so I'm looking back at Bob Sapp. How the hell we're talking about Bob Sapp's record? Most of his early fights were against Japanese guys, and he actually had a good record. But then he lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He lost 14 in a row.
What?
I love how they just keep giving him fights too, and then they like I think it was like really good guys they kept giving him up because they were just like, watch this smaller guy who's good just beat the hell out of this giant.
I feel like we could get him to wrestle Gable Steveson. I think he's just down to get paid a little bit of money.
Oh, if you paid him, he wrestle Gable. I'm in.
Yeah, let's go. Gable versus Bob Sapp.
That's awesome.
It's not the most preposterous matchup.
I could sell that.
Yeah, we could sell it.
You know what we could do to make it even? We could make it just push out. The only way you can score is push outs. Can't even get takedowns.
You're not even allowed to get takedowns?
No, just push outs.
So you want them to sumo wrestle?
So sumo, but even in sumo, you can take a guy down.
Did you guys see that video circulating on Instagram? It's like a much smaller sumo guy going against much larger sumo guys, but he like gets in and gets little quick heavyweight snatch singles, and then boom, throws him out of bounds, and he's like whooping everybody's butt with wrestling. It's awesome.
Don't you feel like Gable could just be a sumo champion, like very easily?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Like Gable
Probably.
could. He could be.
Gable could.
What if he just became the most legendary sumo wrestler of all time? Like he
My
does
thought is, like,
WWE.
there's probably-
That should be his next move. He's like goes WWE and then he just sumos. He becomes
I don't know if it's
the
much
great
more-
Yokozuna.
Is it more lucrative than WWE?
I don't know.
No idea.
Sumo's
I'll tell you what,
pretty
it's more
popular.
prestigious in Japan.
Yeah.
Lots of prestige in it.
Yeah, some historic honor in Okay.
I don't think he's gonna do that.
I don't think he's probably gonna
That's probably not a smart idea.
It's you can't look swaggy in the sumo diaper.
Don't
It's
challenge
tough.
me. Don't challenge me, man. I might pull up in a sumo diaper, killing it. Gucci print.
All right, let's go to a couple questions, and then we'll have Ray on, and then we will maybe finish with questions or not, and just the show will be over. But here's the first question: what does Ben think about Wade Schalles' claim as the father of funk wrestling?
I don't. So obviously this video does not exist really from the era. But he did make up a handful of things. I mean, notoriously the Splito banana splits, I believe that was him. I don't know exactly what else he made up. And again, there's not really any film of that happening. So, but yeah, I mean, he was definitely an innovator, kind of ahead of the curve there. And for whatever reason, he never really made it as a coach. And I think that probably hurt the reputation a little bit. Like if he was able to get his style to play out with a bunch of athletes and they would have been really, really good. I mean, that's right. That's kind of what built the Gable mystique. I think if he would have been able to do that, then that would have helped that mystique grow for sure.
Yeah. It says he's a Guinness Book of World Records holder. Do we know what that might be for?
For what?
I don't know. That's why I was kicking it
No
to
idea.
the crew. I don't know what he was in the Guinness Book of World Records for. Someone probably knows.
Is somebody Googling it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, I can't beat Bracky on the Google times.
God.
Yeah, but he was a very, very early innovator. He was good.
So he claims on his site on WadeSchalles.com, which, as we know, is one of the best websites in the world. He's also in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most pins, and when he refereed, he was one of the highest rated officials in America. I don't. So he's claiming he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most pins.
Oh.
Well, I think I've been over this before because this was something that was very, it was right on my radar. Is him and Gene Mills go back and forth, and they say the other ones aren't verified, and they really have more. And so I don't even recall who's number one and number two right now. But they say, officially, I think Win Magazine lists them at 107 and 106, but they both have taken stabs because the record keeping at that point wasn't quite as good as it is now.
Are you just saying that because you want to be number one?
Oh, well, I'm not close to them. They're clearly above me significantly, but I'm just saying that's what they say about each other.
Cool. Well, hey, it sounds like our guest, Coach Ray Blake, is here, so let's bring him on if he's ready to go. Coach, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Good morning. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm doing well. Actually, it's a little bit earlier out here, so I rolled out of bed about an hour ago, but it was one of those things where I rolled out and was like, was yesterday a dream?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I had to pinch myself and check my phone a few times to make sure it was real, but it was.
It is real. It really happened, Coach Blake. So excited to have you on. I have so many questions about this entire scenario. And we spoke yesterday, and you had mentioned kind of you had never lost faith. When did you feel? At what point did you feel like, okay, the momentum is really kind of turning? This could really happen.
So today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A week ago.
A week ago. So what happened?
First time. I would say from the get-go, the original announcement came out on July 8th of last summer. So it had been 10 months and 10 days from the time it started to the time it ended, at least through the decision. And from the get-go, we decided, Jason and Alex and I, within 2 minutes of hearing the announcement, we kind of looked at each other and we're like, well, we're going to fight this and we're going to win. And we had faith that we could and would eventually the entire time. But we were realistic and about the odds from the get-go, and we knew that they were against us, the entire time. But, it was just one of those things where there was no one thing that did this in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was the result of just sustained pressure from so many people over such a long period of time. And, obviously Shane's NCAA tournament back in March just really shone a spotlight on the situation. And it created a little bit of a groundswell of momentum, from our side. And I could just feel in the weeks since the trustees had met at the end of April, we were kind of still didn't hear anything for a while. The trustees had a meeting, I think, about 3.5 weeks ago, and we didn't hear anything for a while. And then about 2 weeks ago, we heard that they were having conversations, and they were actually having some dialogue about this, and they're taking it seriously. And just the signs started pointing in our way. There was no one thing, but just being involved in it for so long, you kind of start to get a sense for how these things operate, how these decisions get made, and how people communicate. And just saw one thing after another, after another, after another, and it sounded like their president was really, really engaged, and maybe was just kind of working through some kinks on his end to allow it to happen in the end. And it was about a week ago was the first time I was like, actually, I think this is going to happen now. I think momentum is in our favor. And that just kind of snowballed and it led to the announcement yesterday.
So take us through kind of the different steps you guys took from July 8th to basically this point that you think help, save Stanford and Stanford Wrestling and the other programs. What were the main tentpole things that you guys did that you think had big impact?
Oh man, there were thousands of things that happened that led to this. Probably hundreds of things that were essential, But I think one of the best things we did right away was we got organized. When the announcement came down, we were committed, but we were naive. We had no idea what it took, what it would take to get this overturned. But one thing we did know was that we didn't have the capacity to do it ourselves. So luckily we were able to, reach out to a bunch of people in our community, the Stanford wrestling community and the wrestling community in general. And we got organized with, Keep Stanford Wrestling Advisory Board. And we kind of split up that advisory board into different committees to kind of tackle different issues. And the best thing we did was we anointed the 3 co-chairs to the Keep Stanford Wrestling Board, alumni Robert Hata, Patricia Miranda, and Sean Harmon. And they took the reins and really kind of ran with this. And this wasn't an accident. We had Zoom meetings twice a week for 10 months on top of all the other meetings and conversations we were having along the way. But I think everything was necessary. We took the decision and the announcement on its face, to begin with. We did about a month's worth of intel, and then, we said, well, if it's finances and competitive excellence, which is what it's leading back to, we're gonna fundraise a bunch of money. We're gonna collect a bunch of pledges. We're gonna show the university that we can endow our program. We can come up with solutions to Title IX compliance, through women's wrestling and everything, to really answer their questions and solve their problem. Well, after we did that the right way, it was clear that wasn't really leading anywhere. So then we had to have conversations with people. We had to go meet with our athletic director, and when it didn't seem like it was we were going to get very far with him. We had to meet with other people, trustees, the provost, eventually the president. All those things were necessary. And then obviously the one thing we were really struggling with was, people weren't really paying attention as much to our situation for the first, 8 months or so, because we were in the middle of a pandemic and there were more important things going on, and we understood that. And when Shane, won NCAAs on ESPN in a black singlet, and our co-chairs were feeding the ESPN announcers talking points between the rounds, and they did a fantastic job of kind of getting our message out. It just created a lot of momentum and on our side, and it also inspired 10 other teams at Stanford, the other cut programs, and actually the 25 that were kept as well. And in the spring quarter here, which was right after NCAAs, that was the first time students were allowed back on campus here at Stanford this year. And you saw a lot of kind of student activism and people wearing the Keep Stanford Wrestling and Save Stanford men's volleyball sweatshirts, and so on and so forth. And it just led to where we are today.
Yeah. How tough was it with the changing sort of, like in a wrestling match, like you can watch a match, you can kind of figure out why you lost and what you need to do to get better. But with this, it's the goalposts kept moving with them. So how do you know how to attack? How do you know which to approach? Because if you knew, hey, it's about money, all right, cool, we'll just raise a bunch of money. Or it's about this, okay, we'll do that. How tough was it to navigate? And what was the actual reason? Why did they cut Stanford Wrestling?
So I still can't answer that last question perfectly.
Man.
Well, I mean, it's just it's all conjecture
Right
at some point. But in terms of how we approached it, it's just like a wrestling match, though. In a wrestling match, you may go out with a certain plan. I'm gonna get to my best attacks here and there, but your opponent shuts them down. And you have to go to your number 2, your number 3. You need to feel it out. You need to make a new plan, during the match. And that was constantly happening on our side throughout the last 10 months. And we had played around with all the different scenarios and what it could be. Was it about admission spots? Was it about money? We didn't think it really was, Really, I think it was a number of things in the end. I don't think there was one thing that was holding us back. I think it was a combination of maybe things that athletic administration wanted and was more in line with their vision for the future of Stanford athletics at that time, combined with maybe leadership at that time that wasn't as educated on the value of athletics through education, and maybe saw that, less student athletes at Stanford could be a good thing. And I think that they saw a lot through this process. Because remember, as tough as it's been and as frustrated as we've been, with our administration here at Stanford over the last 10 months. And I'll tell you what, if I did this interview 2 days ago, I'd probably be given much different responses because I was in a different state of mind. But they didn't have to change the decision,
Right.
They didn't have to. And ultimately our president and our board of trustees, they took a look at it and they decided that Stanford was better off with the student athletes.
So how do you, reconcile, or how do you kind of process your next steps, and really the teams, but maybe just focus on you guys and the current staff, Coach Tirapelli and Coach McCoy's there. You just had this big fight basically against your bosses, right? And the institution, and you're wearing black things. So there's no Stanford branding. Even right now, there's nothing Stanford on you. You guys were in the corner. He wore a black singlet.
He only owns black shirts right now, Christian.
He only owns black shirts. How do you reconcile, okay, what do I do next? Do I now want to work here? You brought it back, you did the thing. So now what's next? And how do you kind of reconcile all that stuff?
Yeah. So first off, I don't have all the answers. I've had that question a lot. What's your plan next? And even before the decision was coming out, what's your plan moving forward? And I've had to do some parallel planning, over the last couple months. And I actually didn't plan my next steps at all prior to the NCAA tournament. And my wife was getting pretty frustrated with me about that. But I just told her, hey, I'm focused on the guys. I'm focused on the team. This season, getting through it, pouring my heart into it. And I promise I'll start looking at that stuff afterwards. And then Shane won, and things got even busier for us. And I didn't do a great job of that either. And she was really frustrated as well. But I've just been focused on the task at hand. And we got a huge W yesterday. We got a huge W. And now looking forward, I don't know what the future holds. And to be honest, I haven't had a conversation with our athletic director yet. Yesterday, we got the announcement over Zoom, and he had an extremely long day. And we're out of sport administrator right now. Our sport administrator, who had been working with wrestling this past year, he moved on to another area of the university out of athletics. So I don't have a lot of, interface with our administration and haven't over the last 24 hours. But Alex Tirapelli, our other coach, we have a meeting with our athletic director today at noon Pacific. So we expect to get a lot more answers and really figure out what his intentions are with, our current coaching staff. And I think, in terms of my desire, again, if you asked me a couple days ago, maybe it would be a little bit different, but I don't think it would. Regardless of whatever feelings I've had towards, Stanford University over these last 10 months, at the end of the day, I love our guys. I love our program. I love our alumni. I'm extremely passionate about it. We talked about everything we did this year was for the family. And I've been Stanford wrestling through and through. I've been a part of the program for the past 2 decades. So I think, one, if I'm retained, if there's a desire to retain Alex and I from our administration's end, we have 2 choices. Are we going to be confrontational and potentially lead to a situation where we're maybe here again in a few years, or are we going to try to work with them? We've obviously, we've learned a lot of lessons, and I think we've gotten a lot wiser and a lot less naive, over the last 10 months. And so, our guards are up for sure. But, at the end of the day, if we are a part of the program and we are committed to helping the program, reach not just the level it was at before, but even higher, where goals are, we're going to have to be able to work with our administration. And so, I'm committed to doing whatever that takes if that ends up being the route that they choose to go.
Looking back at what led to the decision, are there things you wish a couple years out or a year out you had said, if we had done this, maybe we wouldn't have been in this position? Do you think there was a thing?
Fully endow our program.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what else we could have done. This wasn't a situation where, our guys were getting in trouble on campus, they were getting arrested or anything like that, where our coaching staff was, rubbing people the wrong way within administration. None of that was there. Our team is as much success as we were starting to have on the mats. We were also equally as successful off the mats. We had won, we had gotten like NCAA APR recognition awards for like top academic performance in the country the last 9 consecutive years. Our guys we had like a 3.45 team GPA. Everyone, we were pillars in the community. There was nothing we did. I feel like that soured our reputation in the community. And I think at the end of the day, we're just one of those sports that, maybe doesn't bring in as high of a revenue stream as other sports. And we weren't fully endowed, and it did cost some money to keep us. And maybe we were seen as a little bit of we were seen as expendable. And I think, moving forward, when the decision came out yesterday, we can get into that if you want, but like the university, they did accept like the 36 sport strong fundraising proposal, which is each sport to set up its own separate escrow account to create an endowment. Where its alumni and supporters can work to endow that sport individually. If anything ever happens to the program, everyone gets their money back, right? But the university is going to set that up, and that's going to be more the fundraising model for Stanford athletics moving forward. But we're not on like a time window where, we have to endow our program within 3 to 5 years or anything like that. The university has said we're going to support all these programs, all 36, into perpetuity, but we're going to be encouraging them to endow. And, we collected $12.5 million in pledges, in 3 months back last fall. And we're gonna get that. We're gonna work to make sure that our program's absolutely bulletproof moving forward.
That's
well.
good
Hey,
to
so
hear.
I guess I want to ask something off that, and maybe I missed something, but one of the things that was most puzzling to me is they said, we're cutting these 11 sports, and it was like when wrestling had clearly raised enough money to save their own program, it was like, no, you need enough money to save all of the programs. And so, when we're talking about your program, it was always so weird that they were all tied together. Was there ever a reasoning why all 11 were so tied together and why they couldn't have said, nah, you guys did a great job. You raised enough money. We're going to bring wrestling back, but not maybe this other one. Was there reasoning ever given for that, or good reasoning?
Yeah, there was reasoning given. We didn't feel it was super strong. They had essentially put it back on, well, if you are able to endow wrestling and perhaps another women's sport or women's wrestling, and the response we got on women's wrestling at the get-go was just, that sounds great, but the optics of adding a women's sport in the face of just dropping 11 and 6 women's sports, that doesn't look good, and so that's not something that we're going to have an appetite for right now. But they essentially said that in getting to their decision and which sports to initially cut, there was this puzzle of things that they had to piece together. And it would have been a lot of work to try to undo that puzzle and just bring back 1 or 2 or 3 sports and create a new puzzle. And, that was kind of in a nutshell what it kept going back to. We didn't feel that was super strong. Our athletic director, he did tell us, if you were able to raise enough to endow your sport and endow a women's sport, that would at least be enough to have a conversation with the board of trustees. But I can't promise anything, and kind of left it at, it's not going to happen if you do that.
So looking at the team now, we touched a little bit on you, and it's kind of sounds like it's up in there, and you'll learn a lot with your meeting with the AD today. But what is the team thinking? What are the guys? I mean, you've got basically the whole team's in the portal. A lot of them are really, really good, and there's a lot of teams that would love to have them on their team. What do you think happens with Shane, with Real, with Jaden, etc.?
Yeah, it's a great question. So one, it's not as bad as maybe some people from the outside who haven't been paying as close attention to the situation might think. We do have a lot of guys in the portal. I off the top of my head, I don't know how many. Maybe it's half. But a lot of those guys had already gotten to points where they had either, lined up what they wanted to do next, and were kind of just waiting on the announcement to see kind of which way it swung, or we're just starting the process. We had some young guys that back in the fall said, I'm not transferring. We're going to win this, so I don't want to go in the portal. And then as things kind of unfolded, especially after the NCAA tournament, they were like, well, I still want to wrestle, and so I'm going to explore it. And they hadn't got that far in. Where we are with it, we do it. The team's attitude. Guys are excited. Guys are so happy. Yesterday when the announcement came out, we jumped on a team Zoom right there, and everyone was hooting and hollering. And practice yesterday was the most. We had the most energy. We played a 20-minute handball game, and there were probably there were many near injuries in that because the guys were so pumped up. And you got to remember, the guys worked for this for so long. I told you that the coaches decided within 2 minutes that we were going to fight this and we were going to win. But right after that, we got on a call with the team, and they all bought in right away. Guys did get in the portal because we had to be smart. We had to line up our next options. We knew the odds, right? And we told the guys from the get-go, listen, we're going to do right by you. You have to trust in us. Like, we want the best for you. What saved us was that we got the extra year. They said we had the extra season, right? And if they didn't say that, we probably would have had everyone jumping in the portal right away and moving on. But in having that extra year, that allowed them to all stay together, to train, to work together as a team, not only on the mats, but to work to keep the program off the mat. And they did that. And while they were doing that, we were smart, and they got in the portal. They started talking to coaches. They started lining up their options, and I think that they all kept those open. And yesterday, at practice, we talked a little bit about the decision and kind of where we are now and what it's like moving forward. And one of the guys asked about recruiting and what our plans are with that. And we were like, well, honestly, we haven't looked at recruiting so much because we haven't been interested in it in the last year. We haven't been able to do it, but our first goal is to, recruit our current team. It's an awkward situation to be in, but what we told our guys at the beginning still holds true today. And, and I told Shane and I told Real and a lot of these guys that, listen, if we start getting answers from the administration and I don't feel that Stanford is the best place for you, I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you what I think is your best option. Like, my allegiance is to you. And Stanford wrestling will, it'll continue. It'll endure. And whatever hits we take in the short term, we'll recover from those. And in the end of the day, it's just a giant W for wrestling. What we would love to do for our program is minimize, whatever, recovery period we need from, the hits that we've taken this year, which are, the loss of a coach, Jason Bradley's moved on, and also an entire lost recruiting class. So we're going to be a little bit thin on depth, moving forward. But whatever hits we take, we'll be okay. We're going to be all right. Our guys we're going to advise them in the way that's best for each of them. And if it ends up being at Stanford, great. And I'll tell you what, every single one of them has expressed a desire to stay at Stanford. But now they do have other options, and we got to take a look at, what does our training situation look like for each of you? What does your academic plan look like? Because Shane and Real and those guys, they had accelerated their degree progress to where, they're ready to graduate next quarter, at the end of the summer, at the end of the fall. And so now they've each got 3 years of eligibility still remaining. We got to figure out what it would look like for them to be able to stretch out their undergrad a little bit, and then also, get into a master's program and stretch that out and be able to, have that work out for 3 years of eligibility, and also financially and all that stuff. But, if anything, as this past year has taught me, it's that we can figure it out. We'll do whatever it takes. And if Stanford is the place that's best for them, and I know there's a desire from them to be here, then they'll be here. But we'll get those answers, I think, in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Speaking of figuring it out, give us like the pie chart breakdown of basically your season. Start from January on. How much time were you spent being the wrestling coach? How much time were you spent being the guy, one of the people trying to save the program? Like, how did that work?
Oh, man, I'm tired. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Really tired. There were things that the program status added to our plates. But there were some things that got taken off our plates. Like I mentioned, I haven't recruited since July. Getting back into that's going to be a little bit different. If they continue to keep me here. Over the past 10 months, the only thing that has felt normal from my experience with Stanford has been the time in the wrestling room with the guys. Everything on the outside has been different. It's felt different. It's created a lot of stress and lost a lot of sleep, and I've aged quite a bit in the past 10 months. But when we've been in the room with the guys, 2 hours a day or whatever, that's felt totally normal, and we've been able to focus on that. And fortunately, we were, able to have a successful NCAA tournament. And I think, the program status, from the get-go, we we kind of made it a goal as coaches not to let that affect, the team, in terms of, the training in the room, and the focus on competition. And I think we did that as best as we could. And honestly, since this spring has started, almost every day after practice, we've talked about, keep Stanford Wrestling and status and updates and all that stuff, but from November, when we got back on campus through March, we almost never talked about it, with the guys in the room. Very, very, very rarely. But outside of the room, there hasn't been 5 or 10 minutes of any day that's gone by that hasn't been on my mind. And so it's been something we've been working tirelessly for, and something I'm honestly really relieved is behind us. But it's also one of those things where, if the decision had come out and it was the opposite, and the university decided to stay the course, while disappointing, and while we would have continued to fight it, the battle just would have shifted. It's the kind of the arena. In some ways, that would have been easier. We were already parallel planning. We already kind of knew, for a lot of people, what maybe our next steps might be, and I knew that, if the decision stayed the same, I was going to have to leave, in a month and a half, and move on to a new chapter. But now with it being as it is, and then reversing the decision, as tired as we are, there's so much more work to be done. And there's a new phase, that we have, and that's, really, like I talked about, retaining the team and recruiting and rebuilding and training and building up our endowment and fundraising and all these things, and getting a lot of questions answered, and figuring out what our summer training looks like, which we hadn't totally planned, right? So there's a lot of things ahead of us, but I'm couldn't be more happy to have potentially the opportunity to tackle those,
So are y'all back in the room? When did y'all get back in the room? Because I remember y'all were training. When were you training outside?
Oh yeah, from November, around Thanksgiving was when, we got back to campus in early November to train. We had to do about a week of onboarding with COVID protocols and such. So we were able to train in the room starting mid-November. About 2 weeks after that, the counting guidelines changed here in Northern California. So we couldn't do indoor contact activity. We also couldn't do outdoor contact activity unless it was with members of your own household. So we had the guys living, by weight class in groups of 6. And we brought 4 mats outside.
Classic.
So we did. We brought 4 mats outside. We had groups of 6 training on each mat. They were all separated by about 10 or 15 feet in between. There was no inner, guys were, our 141 pounder wasn't able to train with our 149 pounder all season, right? Because, we had 25 to 41 on one mat, right? And so on and so forth. But we trained outside from November until late January when we left to go on a 15-day road trip to essentially complete our season, which was 8 duels in 4 states, over 15 days. And then on the 3rd day that we left to go on our road trip, we got word that the county guidelines had shifted. So when we returned in early February, we were able to get back into the room.
Man, well, that's plenty of time. You almost had a month of normal training.
All right, stupid question. So training outside, I don't know, that sounds kind of fun, temperate climates in California. What was the unexpected best thing about training outside and unexpected worst thing about training outside?
The best thing was that it actually was kind of fun at times. We were training outside on our field hockey field, and there were palm trees around us. And from late November to the beginning of January, we were practicing at 1:00 in the afternoon because the guys weren't in class. They were in winter break at the time, so we could practice at any time. And so when the sun was out, it did get hot when the sun was out, but it was kind of a cool environment, and there was also this feeling of this is actually kind of cool what we're doing. We're figuring out, we're improvising, we're doing whatever it takes, The worst thing was that the weather was unpredictable. It was uncontrollable. And there were times, it rained on us and we had to, literally get off the mats and tarp the mats and go home, or go on a run or something like that. And then when classes started back up in January, we couldn't practice at 1 o'clock anymore. So we had to shift our practice times to 4:30. We had to go at 4 and 5:15. And, we had to split up the team into 2 groups. We had to do 2 practices. And we also had to change to a different spot there was a covered area by our football field that, would protect us from the rain. But since we were practicing, from 4 to essentially 6:30 with the 2 groups, it was dark. It was in the middle of winter. So we're practicing in the dark, and we had lights, but it was cold. And we would bring in 4 space heaters. We had 4 space heaters at each corner of the mats that were just blowing heat on the mats. And honestly, the space heaters made no difference. But I think it was like,
oh my God.
So, and even that though, I talked about like it was cool. We were figuring it out. Even then, it was like, we're outside, we're in the cold, we're in the dark, the guys are all bundled up in sweats every practice, but like, we're wrestlers. We're gonna improvise. We're gonna make it work, and that was kind of like one of the themes of our entire season was whatever it takes, and we all had this feeling of, like we kind of knew that what we were doing, throughout the entire year was special, and even if, even if it didn't lead to a reversal of the decision, we were going to have this experience, that was going to bond us forever. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Thinking about what Griffith was able to do and given those circumstances, after Pac-12s, he loses to Valencia. How tough is it for you guys to be like, he can still do it. He can still win it. Because here was my thing. It's like, clearly the training situation was not ideal. I mean, we saw Real Wood's performance at Pac-12s. We're like, this is not the same guy. They just haven't been able to do the full wrestling training thing. For him to be able to turn it around and just look amazing all NCAAs long and without a shadow of a doubt prove he was the best guy at 165. How, be honest, surprising was that for you? Or maybe not at all?
It wasn't surprising, to be honest. Yeah. One of my friends texted me about a week before the NCAA tournament because, guys do like those NCAA pools and fantasy teams and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, can Shane win an NCAAs? And I responded, of course. And then I followed up with, if he wants to. Because if Shane, but let me get into this. First, before I say this, fantastic competitors at 165. This is no disrespect to anyone else. But we just being around Shane for so long, for 3 years, he's just one of those guys that you just have confidence in. And he's one of those guys that it's weird. He can turn it on and he can turn it off. If you see him practice in the wrestling room, you would never think like, oh, this guy is the guy you want on your team. He's one of those guys that kind of, he rolls around. He lets guys get in on positions. He feels them out. He goes to his back a bunch. He figures things out. He kind of operates at like 70% all the time, unless he needs to win. And then when it's time to win, he goes to 100% and he wins. Going into NCAAs, it was just one of those things where you never. I can't say that I would have said, oh, Shane's going to win the national tournament. There are just too many things that have to go your way for that to happen. But going into any one individual match, I would have been really confident in Shane. And I would have bet on him. And that's admittedly my own bias coming in. I'm one of his coaches, and I see him every day in the room, and he's one of those guys that's so easy to believe in. But what he did, while it was amazing. It was amazing, and it is one of those things that you couldn't have bet. You couldn't have known the odds were in favor of it happening going in. But I'm not surprised just because I believe in Shane and I know him, and he's just a winner. I'll tell you what, the most competitive he gets outside of wrestling matches at the end of matches when he's in a tough situation or he needs to go get a major or whatever, you see him turn it and shift it to another gear. The most competitive you'll ever see him besides that is pre-practice handball.
Oh yeah,
he's Shane. And when you see Shane go into Shane Griffith mode, like if you see him in handball, you know that he's capable of anything.
my gosh, sounds scary. I don't want to play against him. Well, man, it's
We'll
such
get
a
an N1 mixtape sometime of his highlights.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put a tape together. I want to see it. Well, man, it's been cool talking. We were talking about Bob Sapp before this, and your brother Ryan put me on to Bob Sapp. You guys ever watched some Bob Sapp
for real?
footage together? Yeah, I said that before.
No.
Ray, your brother Ryan, he turned me on to Bob Sapp, and we watched it. He's like the worst MMA fighter ever, but he's just this gigantic person who just goes out and gets destroyed. So ask Ryan about Bob Sapp, because that was some good times.
Awesome.
Well,
Ryan,
hey,
by the way,
yeah,
Ryan was really instrumental in the Keep Stanford Wrestling stuff. He did. I don't know if you like. We had a lot of like videos and stuff that came out throughout the year. He did all of that. He did the Real Woods documentary. He's done all of our stuff. He's been. I got to thank him while I'm on the air right now.
nice. Well, yeah, Ryan is the man. We were good buddies when he worked here, and now he's killing it. He's married, got a kid, whole deal. He's all grown up on us, Ray.
He's not my little brother anymore. He's just my brother.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, we'll keep us posted. Good luck with the meeting today. Obviously, wherever you wind up, whether it's Stanford or otherwise, that team will get a good one with you. So we know you'll be just fine. And congrats, and enjoy the moment and the win.
Will do. And just, one more, just thank you to the entire wrestling community. And in FloWrestling, you guys did a great job of getting our messaging out at times. And this effort and this result, it truly was a community effort. And there's no way that we would be where we are today without the support of the entire wrestling community. We banded together with the alumni and student athletes of the other 10 sports here at Stanford, but the wrestling community really hounded. They kept the pressure on throughout. If you see any, Go Stanford post on any social media outlet, it's filled with Keith Stanford Wrestling hashtags, and there's no doubt that made an impact in the decision.
Heck yeah. Well, that's great to hear. We're happy to have a very small part of it. And thanks to you and your guys for making it happen. The whole wrestling community is pumped and excited. It is a win for wrestling, as you said. So, Coach Blake, thanks so much. Thanks for getting up early, and best of luck.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Oh, man, I forgot to ask him. I
Uh-oh.
wanted to, they've got a decent heavyweight coach there from Long Island, but I thought they could get a true Long Island hand fighting machine if they had Kerry McCoy and Ollie Stone. Long Island, because Kerry, he was like, he took a lot of shots. He was a little more quote
he was
unquote,
a little too finesse.
a little offensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't like the implications you're giving there. He was definitely offensive, but it kind of.
I put it in air quotes.
That
Ollie.
you're saying the other. I'm not offensive.
No,
I'll offend you with my hand fighting. All right,
Ollie, I'm trying to lay it up for you.
No, but you're right. You're right. You know what? They're doing great things over there, and I would. How could I not go help them out?
Yeah.
I would definitely adjust my fees. Ben Askren, the fees still apply for you, but I think I could definitely go and create something over there.
Yeah, and I think it's important for you to understand. I don't think Coach McCoy is going to ask for your help. It's just there's so much pride there.
People have
You've
different ways of asking for help.
Right.
So he may do one thing, but really it's a cry for help. Ollie, teach my guys how to hand fight.
I think you just need to. What I would do, I would just draft an email or a text message and let them know, hey, give them the finer pointers of hand fight. Just give them a little taste of what you're going to bring to the program. And
you got his number?
I can get his number.
I'll give him a call.
Give him a call.
I'll give him a call. FaceTime. First time meeting somebody, call him on FaceTime. It's the only way you can get a real first impression. You get him going right there. And
have you ever actually done that?
No, I'm not a sicko. I don't even like when people call me without knowing me.
Yeah.
I actually listen, on FaceTime, I like using FaceTime for serious meetings more, because I just feel like when people are on the phone, there's a level of distraction that they have. And when you can look at somebody, that you can get a little more focused and get things done a little quicker and more efficiently.
And if the feds are listening, you can just do hand signals for certain things, and then they're going to need the video feed to really get you in
The
court
feds
for
are
anything.
always listening, and
They are always
watching.
listening. I know you got some backdoor, side door,
I've
crypto
no
deals.
side door.
Yeah,
No
you got
side
some
doors.
side door crypto deals going down. I know about you.
Yeah.
I'm not a side door type of guy.
Okay. Brecky's got a question.
Yeah,
ready to
while
go.
we're on the topic kind of about Ollie and wrestling, my name's Jeff asked a good question yesterday. He said Mark Bader challenged Spade to some hand fighting during senior nationals, which Spade declined. Will Ollie take on that challenge, and where can we see it?
I will take on any hand fighting challenge.
Wow.
Even Bader, even when he goes psycho
Bader.
mode?
I'll
You
even
don't want
hand fight.
nothing of Bader. You don't want
I'll
any
hand fight
part of
Donnie
Bader.
Thornberry.
He's gonna whoop your ass.
I'll hand fight Donnie. Wiggity 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 wah Donnie. I don't care.
Why
hand
is
fight
he
the
calling
hell out of
Bader
him.
Donnie? What's this? I don't get this.
Well, you probably never
It's
seen the
from-
cartoon.
It's from a cartoon.
It's from the Wild Thornberries.
Yeah, if we get a clip of Donnie Thornberry going wiggity 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 wah, it's exactly how Bader calls the most exciting matches.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just going to send this picture
Yeah.
to Tyler.
Yeah, we
Tyler
gotta pop
definitely
this up.
watched the Wild Thorn.
Oh,
Baby.
yeah.
Tyler knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Any 90s, early 1000s type of kid who was excited to get home, eat some pizza bagels, and watch some cartoons knows about the Thornberries.
You are truly a heavyweight legend, Ollie, for that reference.
Pizza bagel? Yeah, that's
There
Bader.
he is. There's Bader.
There's Bader.
Donnie Thornberry.
Yeah, that's him. That's him. Licking his feet. I've seen Bader do that too.
Bader, yeah.
When I shared a room with him in Pittsburgh. I walked into the room.
I
where
can't
you
wait
didn't know
till
I was coming.
he brings the heat on you.
Yeah.
What do you
Bader's
mean?
gonna
I'm
bring
ready
heat
for
on
the
you.
heat. I'm ready for the heat. People bring the heat all the time. Can't
Okay, so
defend
we
you.
got this game. We got this game we play, Ollie, and so this is gonna be the
Who's
official
we?
game that you and Bader are playing. At AWA.
Okay.
All of them. I think.
Awa.
So it's called the lava game, and it's more just focused on hand fighting, but you also need to keep position. So there's only two ways to score points. Okay, you pick one of their legs up, like so it'd be like a snatch, or you make something besides the bottom of their shoe touch the mat. So you snap them down, their hand, their head, their
Okay.
elbow, their knee, whatever, right? And you go. So I think you and Bader 10-minute lava game, and we go live on Flow. What do you think?
I'm down.
All right, let's
I'm
do
in.
it.
No
Okay.
way I lose.
Wow.
There's no way I lose.
I think Bader might be the favorite.
Yeah.
There's no way I lose. What am I gonna say? He's gonna beat me here on public? No way. I might lose, but there's no way I lose.
What if you lose? I mean, you might lose some of your camp opportunities. Right?
Yeah.
Ben was going to bring you in for a couple weeks.
I don't live life ducking because of like opportunities I may lose. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I don't think like that.
Wow.
I think like when you guys see me hand fight and pummel this man to the mat with strong collar ties, that there's not going to be a team in the country that doesn't want to bring me in. So that's how
Okay.
I feel.
All right, that's great.
Ben
I'm
might
so
not be able
excited
to
to watch.
afford you with
When can we
Bitcoin
broadcast
crashing.
this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Could Ben even afford you now with Bitcoin plummeting through the
It
basement?
depends on how bad he beats up Mark Bader, because if he beats him up, then his rates go up. So hey, maybe like on tomorrow's show, last 10 minutes. What do you guys say?
Oh my gosh.
All right. Like, where are we setting it up?
Bader's out of
Yeah,
town.
Bader is out of town.
you lucky
How
Ollie.
convenient for him and the town.
And the town. It is most convenient for them. I think. Someone asked if we're gonna have coverage of USA Wrestling Camp. Perfect segue. That's where Bader is. Bader and Andy Hamilton are headed to Atlanta, potentially as we speak. I think Bader's flight may be a little bit later.
I think he might be there.
I think he's there because he was tweeting about destroying hotel
Yes,
rooms.
I was just going to say the same thing. He said, I don't know if it's impressive or embarrassing how I can make a hotel room look like a tornado's run through it.
You know
Like
who
the-
freaking
at the time.
could tornado a hotel room and literally, I mean, it's like we just checked in. Nomad.
Yeah.
Nomad.
I thought you were going to say Bracky, and I was going to say I'm kind of
No,
surprised. I
Bracky's
thought
pretty
you'd be
neat.
a grown-up about
Holmes
it.
Holmes is definitely the neatest person I've traveled with.
I unpack. I use the drawers.
He might even. I do too.
I unpack.
And Katie always gets on me for.
You use
using
the drawers?
Listen,
What?
Yeah.
Because here's what happens.
Okay,
I-
hold on. No, I gotta ask a question. Is this on every stay at a hotel, or is this like maybe if you're there for like a week, okay, use the drawers. But what if you're there for like 48 hours or 28,
more than
24 hours?
More than one day, more than one. If I'm just there for the night, I don't do it. More than one day, I do it. Here's the reason why. People are like, just go out of your suitcase. It'll be easier that way. Okay, when I do that, now everything gets messed up in the suitcase when I go looking for my clothes, and then it's like, well, I have to fold all of this and put it back now anyway. But if I take it out neatly and put it in the drawers, I can pick exactly what I want, no problem. My outfits get fresh, you know me. And then when it's done, it goes in. It's still already folded. I just put it right back in the way it is.
Yeah.
A lot easier than doing the pick in. You're looking through each thing of clothes. This thing gets unfolded, gets ruined, boom. No, much easier. Put it in and then put it back.
Ollie, you're a genius. And that's exactly why I do it.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I had the feeling, so I wanted to make sure I said it first. And that's often why I do it. So sorry for cutting anybody off, but
No.
I wanted that
You have a mic
connection.
for a reason, sir.
It's right here.
Folding clothes is for losers. 2.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You fold your clothes. What are you talking about?
No, I don't. You think I fold my clothes?
You just cram them in a bag?
Yeah.
Like a savage?
I just like put them in half and throw them in there. Yeah.
put them in half. That's folding.
I'm going to...
No, like
well, no.
No, Ollie, like...
Yeah, I fold.
you do more than just fold them. Like
No,
put
I
'em in half.
specifically fold. I know techniques
Yeah,
to fold.
you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but that is a type of fold.
Yeah.
Folding in half is a fold.
No, you got to grow up, Brecky, at some time.
No, I don't, and I
Yeah.
won't. I will
You
never
will.
fold my clothes.
Fold
ever.
your clothes.
No.
Do you make your bed?
No.
No,
you
come
kidding
on.
me?
Making your bed's a waste of time.
That is a total waste of time. I
What's
can't
wrong
believe
with you guys?
you make your bed.
Not all. I put my blanket
You don't make
over
your
it.
bed.
You
I
don't
throw
make
the
your
blanket
bed.
over.
You
Stop
don't make
lying.
your bed.
Every once a week, make it.
No,
Do
I
you
do.
wash your sheets?
What?
How often do you wash your sheets?
I don't know. Olivia does it.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are all married.
I got
and stuff.
confession. I went about a year in college without washing my sheets.
Oh,
I
absolutely did
I
that
was
in
cleaning
college
the
too.
bed.
Yeah,
I was
no,
cleaning
college
the
doesn't
bed.
count. College doesn't count. I think I went a year without cleaning the Foreman grill I used in college. It's like cast iron. It's like cast iron pans. You don't wash them; it washes away the flavor.
Oh
Oh man. Yeah. So I do the drawer usage just so that I can.
It's neater.
Just
It's
for
easier. It
just
really
for the
is
repack
easier.
situation.
Yes,
Because I'm an
it's easier.
overpacker. I pack way more stuff than I'll ever wear.
On purpose, though.
On purpose.
You need options.
I need options. I always pack in the scenario that I want to do like a workout every day and plus one extra.
And I never work
yeah.
out.
And
You
I
gotta know if you're gonna work out or not. That's for sure.
And then there's the possibility of going swimming. Always. If you're in a hotel,
Yep.
you might go swimming. You
that's
could-
a good point.
You know, who knows?
well,
if
you
the-
know, Ollie, I want to make you more efficient. Your dirty workout clothes can double as your swim shorts because the chlorine kills the germs. Boom.
I'm not mad at that, but that's disgusting. Like, the logic makes sense. The logic makes sense, but also
Makes perfect sense.
It makes sense, but like I don't want to. I would not want to be stinky from the time getting there to there. It's a small time. You could do it right after the workout.
Right
while
after.
You're still sweaty.
There you go.
That's
Boom.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Double
don't
up,
like
baby.
this.
Yeah.
Is that what you do at your pool? Do you have a pool, Ben, in Wisconsin?
I do not have a pool. No.
Hot tub?
We don't get to use it very much. I have a hot tub. Yes.
Can I come?
No.
Yo, I'm super.
Oh my
offended.
gosh!
What is this?
What?
What's wrong?
Oh,
I
that's
thought
great.
we were
He said
boys.
no.
If you kill a gopher, you can come.
They're groundhogs.
Whatever, the same damn thing.
Well, they're the same thing. They'd be called the same thing.
You got beef with groundhogs?
Well,
Yeah.
so a groundhog and a woodchuck are the same thing. Why does a gopher differ?
Maybe it's a different animal.
But what about it is different?
Gophers.
I don't know. But why do you want me to kill them?
Because they dig, dude. These things are such proficient diggers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have like 20 holes on my disc golf course, and they so the one hole it's all rocky and stuff. So they dig these holes and there's just rocks just tumbling down all the way down the hill. It's so annoying.
Well, don't you have do you have a firearm?
I got someone coming. To take care of it.
Okay.
Bill Murray?
Oh, you got a guy?
He might be a good wrestler too. We'll see.
Oh. Well, who's killing your freaking groundhogs?
You got to get the guy
Tell
from
you yet.
Caddyshack.
Until we do it.
Okay.
I don't want Petey to get on him, and then the person gets scared.
Do you know how many farmers just keep rifles on them all the time just to kill groundhogs? It's just like a thing they do.
Are you serious?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course. They're huge. I mean, the cows can step in the holes, break their they're.
Oh, that would not
Yeah,
be good.
farmers
Yes.
and groundhogs.
They
goes
mess
back-
with They mess with the crops.
You should see how big these holes are. These holes are
practically
huge.
the Bloods and Crips.
Yeah, farmers and groundhogs are Bloods and Crips. There's no reconciling. There's no peace picnic.
There's no resolving that.
Yeah, it's like you're on my corner. You gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One's leaving. Is it me or is it you?
Yeah. Okay. Some more. It's interesting that you're having such an issue with groundhogs. Best of luck.
Hey, you know what I have to do today? We're actually
in the
overtime.
hot tub.
I have to take Ozzy's got his first day of gymnastics, so I got to take him. So I got to get out of here.
Oh my gosh, you got to go. I was going to ask one more question.
Uneven bar.
All right, I'll save some of these.
30 seconds. Let's go.
No, but it'll be a good question. So we'll do it. We'll do it next time. It's okay.
Let him leave. We'll answer it.
Well, no, I want him to answer it too. It'll be good. It's fine. It's 9:46. It's time to go.
All right.
We got tacos waiting for us. My gosh, do you remember that? Sorry, Ben. No tacos for you, dude.
Or Ozzy.
Or Ozzy.
Peace.
Bye.
for you
He's not
nerds.
listening anymore.
Yeah, he hates
Fine.
us.
Whatever.
Yes.
Go love your son.
Go love your son. Take him to wherever you're taking him. Go love all your children if you're listening and you have children. If you don't have children, love someone. For crying out loud. Love each other.
Love yourself.
I love you guys not as much as I love my mom.
And that's fine. And we just have to come to terms with that. Thanks so much for listening. Happy Wednesday. We will be back tomorrow. No doubt about it. Thanks a lot. See you then. Goodbye.